Just a few minutes behind, but live with you on this Tuesday, November 26th. I'm Greg Bishop. It's Illinois in Focus Daily, where you can wake up with us each and every weekday morning to get the latest headlines impacting you here in the state of Illinois. You can get the live show at America's Talking Network. Check out the clips and the segments. Also, the news clips, which, if you are subscribed, you're going to see a couple of undercover videos prosecutors revealed yesterday in court in the corruption trial of former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan. We'll touch on that. We'll also hear some of the back and forth about the fight over federal funds, and some saying that the way to get a blue state like Illinois to change direction is to withhold federal funds. We'll go into both sides of that conversation. Plus, Thanksgiving's coming up, but so's Black Friday. Don't forget about Small Business Saturday. I connected with Noah Finley with the National Federation of Independent Business here in Illinois, and we discussed the importance of small business. So that's what's coming up here. Programming notes, I am taking the day off tomorrow and Thursday and Friday. So this is the last live show this Thanksgiving week. We'll be back at it live on Monday with plenty to tackle. So stay tuned, subscribe, get the podcast at Illinois in Focus. Anywhere you get podcasts, get the headlines at thecentersquare.com, and join us each and every weekday morning here with America's Talking Network. Prosecution witness in the corruption trial of former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan said on a recording he's setting up a deal, and the other side of the deal understands it's a quid pro quo. While Madigan encouraging a different terminology when discussing these things. Let's get into it. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Each and every weekday morning with you with America's Talking Network, and get the headlines at thecentersquare.com. And if you go to thecentersquare.com, you'll see Jim Talamonte's most recent story about the Madigan corruption trial, which has been going on for weeks. Prosecutors have been bringing up all kinds of cooperating witnesses. We had undercover video and audio recordings of phone calls between Fidel Marquez and Madigan and co-defendant Michael McLean. And some pretty revealing stuff there, but new evidence being presented. We saw a lot of this in the ComEd 4 trial last year. 4 people convicted of this, what federal prosecutors called Madigan Enterprise, and now Madigan's facing charges. But during the ComEd 4 trial, we saw a lot and heard a lot of these clips and recordings. But now that Madigan's facing these charges, we're starting to see some Madigan-specific undercover video and recordings, even going back more than 10 years ago. Here is some of Madigan and Daniel Solis, a cooperating witness, former Chicago alderman, who were being recorded during a meeting with some Chinese nationals looking to develop in Chinatown in Chicago. Pretty fascinating stuff here.
Oh, thank you.
No, not the flamingos.
Hello.
Hi. I'm Bud Getzenetter. I'm Mike's law partner.
Hey, I'm Si Wong.
Si Wong.
Mr. Chong.
Mr. Chong, very nice to meet you.
And Daniel Solis comes in.
Hi.
What's interesting about this, again, this is from 2014. Solis ended up being a cooperating witness, but after this. So Solis is not the one capturing this. Who's capturing this is one of the Chinese nationals setting up this deal.
Good. Well, our interest would be that we represent buildings like that on the real estate taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And we do quite a few hotels. And we have a little different approach to the representation on hotels than the other law firms that do the work. And Bud can explain the background to you, but it does make a difference in terms of the results that you get from the assessor or from the board of review. Now, let me ask, what's the status of the representation of this hotel that we're talking about? So you said he's been working with others. Is he committed to other people?
No, not yet. Okay,
so we're under consideration.
Because a lot of people ask him for service, like propose to him for service like legal, tax, zoning, general contracting, a lot of proposal. So he will just pick the best and also the one that can do the job.
Yeah. And the others that would do the real estate tax work, are they all lawyers, or are some of them not lawyers, or do you know?
They're lawyers. They're all lawyers. Mm-hmm. But they take like a percentage of the saving. Yeah. Okay. Besides the hotel, he just bought almost 15 commercial space, retail space in the Chicago area. Mm-hmm. So
now I think it's important that you understand that on the question of the fee. Mm-hmm. We would do a fee that would be agreeable to the client. Mm-hmm. All right. Mm-hmm. There's two basic options. Mm-hmm. One is just a straight retainer. The other is a percentage of the savings. Mm-hmm. And we always recommend a retainer. But if a client is insistent upon having a percentage of the savings, then we'll work with them and we'll do that. We always then recommend that if it's a percentage of the savings, there's a cap on what it would be. Because historically, in terms of how you do this valuation, sometimes these numbers go up and down like this, okay? And if there's no cap on the fee, it's not good for the client.
So Madigan's discussing the deal with the Chinese national, who's translating to what he said was his investor in this deal back in 2014. Again, Madigan's law firm, which handles property tax assessment challenges, taking into consideration this deal.
And in terms of the quality of the representation that you get from this law firm, we don't take a second seat to anybody.
They don't take a second seat to anybody, Madigan says. Apparently that's his selling line.
Okay.
Then, meeting's done.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chong wants to take a picture with you so he can show to his... Okay.
Pretty fascinating. Video and photographic evidence of the meeting.
Do you want to do it together?
Do you want to take a picture?
Sure, I can do it.
You can see the picture in the phone there.
No, that's okay.
Pretty wild.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Danny Solis standing in that photo as well.
This way. 1, 2, 3, ready? Good, okay. He loved to give the business to Mr. Speaker, but without your support, the hotel, zoning change is very critical, so you have to go to zoning change. And
if he works with Speaker, he will get anything he needs for that hotel.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
If he goes with the Speaker, he'll get anything he needs for that hotel. The cooperating FBI witness there in 2014 grabbing that video. Well, then yesterday in court, Daniel Solis, who was also featured in that video, being questioned by prosecutors and testimony he provided, he delved into his troubled history. He's also facing bribery charges with a deferred prosecution agreement that he won't face those charges if he continues to cooperate. He was cooperating on a whole host of different investigations with the feds. Solis had undercover audio that he had grabbed with former Chicago Alderman Ed Burke and his corruption conviction and a whole host of other things. So Solis definitely had a checkered past, but he was approached by the FBI and they played some recordings for him, and then he tried talking to an attorney and thought, well, I'll just go ahead and cooperate with the FBI. And then we get this phone call in June of 2017 with Solis and Madigan talking about setting up another deal, and then a subsequent conversation that Madigan had privately in person with Solis all about this, quote, quid pro quo.
Hello? Speaker Madigan?
Danny?
Madigan?
Yes, Mike Madigan. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
I just wanted to let you know that next week I've got a meeting with the individual that you asked me about, the Union West guy.
Yes.
On Thursday. I think they understand. They've got some issues that they still have to deal with me in terms of zoning. And I think I also told you that I was going to wait till August when there's some guidelines for the West Loop that are going to be done before I do my zoning decision.
Sure.
So I'll meet with them next week on Thursday, and then I'm going to set up a meeting with you and them.
Good.
And I think they I think they understand how this works. The quid pro quo.
Okay.
So I just want to let you know that I did that, and I'll follow up with you after Thursday.
Very good.
All right?
Thank you very much. I'll be at this telephone until Friday for certain.
Okay.
Then there's this guy Rauner. He wants it here in Springfield.
I know. I don't know what's wrong with that jerk.
Yeah.
But we've been working pretty good with JB, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Very good.
All right. So I'll call you probably Thursday.
Yeah.
And then I'll see if we can arrange a meeting, and hopefully you'll have a date when all that is over in Springfield, where we can meet that after that.
Okay. Very good. Thank you very much.
All right. Talk
Thank
to you
you.
later. Bye-bye.
So again, the call there being about setting up a meeting, and Solis saying they understand it's a quid pro quo. That call from 2017 in June. Then just a couple of weeks later in July, the meeting actually happens.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Good, how are you? Good.
This is Andy.
Rick Vogel.
And Rick.
How are you?
Andy Cretal.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Come on in.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome.
So he takes him to one room, but right next door,
Thank you.
Madigan grabs Solis, again, who's the one recording this video for the feds, as a cooperating witness. They go down the hallway. Madigan shows the majority of people into one room and then takes Solis to the other room.
Over the phone, you made a comment that there was a quid pro quo.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay.
You shouldn't be talking like that.
All right.
You're just recommending.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because if they don't get a good result on the real estate taxes, the whole project would be in trouble.
Yeah.
Which is not good for your ward.
Good.
So you want high quality
Right. I might want to talk to you afterwards on an issue in Chinatown, where we need a transference of property from the state to the city. You might have heard of it before. It's the Chinatown parking lot on Wentworth and Cermak. And we've been working on developing that for years, but before we can do anything, that property has to be transferred
from the state
to the city.
We'll talk about
Okay.
that, sure.
And they go back into the meeting. Long discussion.
The glory's when you cut the ribbon, right? But what led to that? How many false trails did you have to go to get the right site? So, I can never say we're the best. I've learned, second to none. That's the best I'll do.
We'll take a second seat anyway.
That's right. That's great.
So,
Well, this has been super helpful.
So again, Madigan using his line there that he used in 2014, we don't take a second seat to anybody. And all of that being revealed yesterday in federal court. They're back at it today in federal courts with the corruption trial of former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan. Our reporter Jim Talamonte in the courtroom. Go read his latest work at the Center Square and stay up to date. It's a pretty impactful trial, important to kind of understand how Madigan operated, because obviously as the Illinois House Speaker for all but 2 years, from 83 to 2021, he was in the House for 50 years. He was also the chairman of the Democratic Party of Illinois, that nexus of power, being able to guide legislation and also control the party purse for candidates, getting lined up votes and all of that. He's charged with using his public office for personal gain, and the trial continues today in Chicago. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning here. with the incoming Trump administration, what are the finances for blue states going to look like? Especially if the incoming administration wants to not spend any more money. Welcome back, Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Of course, you can like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning. Get the headlines in your inbox at thecentersquare.com. Get the newsletter and get the podcast where you get podcasts. Just search Illinois in Focus, and you can connect that way. So, obviously, January 20th is going to be a big day in the United States. Former President Donald Trump continuing to make history as being the only second president to win re-election for a non-consecutive term. So he gets into office January 20th. He's already lined up his nominees for various cabinet positions. But what happens to states like Illinois that have substantial debt? Yesterday, we talked about the unfunded pension obligations and how much taxpayers are on the hook for that. But we also see the state continuing to spend billions and billions and billions of dollars more each and every year, with the projected deficits about $3 billion next year, $4 billion the year after that, and then $5 billion each year thereafter to 2030. So a lot of liabilities and debts as Illinois continues to look at spending more. Recently, venture capitalist Peter Thiel, he spoke to the Free Press. It's a news organization with Barry Weiss at the helm, and they discussed for about 2 hours a whole variety of things. But close to the tail end of that conversation, Thiel talked about the politics and the what he saw was somewhat of a political upheaval with Trump getting into office, winning the popular vote, winning the Electoral College, winning both chambers of Congress for Republicans. And he says that while a lot of people may be talking about foreign policy and domestic policy, nobody's really talking about the looming bankruptcy of Democrat-controlled jurisdictions.
You know, this is what I speculate was one of the really big issues, even bigger than just the student debt problem, is maybe the bankruptcy of a number of blue states and blue cities. Illinois, Chicago, probably the tri-state area, New York City, maybe even San Francisco, maybe Los Angeles. And what we did in 2020 was we used COVID as a cover to bail all these places out. And then 2021, they spent even more money in this runaway Biden spending. And part of it was a way to bail out all these failed blue cities and blue states. And we should not be throwing good money after bad.
So Thiel talking about the COVID pandemic and how a lot of money went out to these blue states. Illinois received $33.3 billion over the COVID pandemic, according to pandemicoversight.org. And that's a lot of money. Now, if you were following all of the Illinois news back then before the pandemic, like literally right before the pandemic caused shutdowns, or I should say right before governors of states like Illinois used the pandemic to justify economic shutdowns and school closures and a whole host of other things. The state Democrats, led by Senate President Don Harmon, wrote a letter to Illinois' congressional delegation in 2020 before the pandemic, saying that they need $40 billion to get bailed out. And they listed a whole bunch of things. So they requested $40 billion from the state of Illinois, from Congress. They didn't get that. Instead, over 3 years, they got $33.3 billion. So Thiel talking about how that COVID spending was, in a way, propping up soon-to-be bankrupt states like Illinois, California, New York, and such.
And all that Trump doesn't need to do something heroic like shutting down the Department of Education or getting Congress to reduce appropriations. All he has to do for the blue cities and blue states to blow up is sit on his hands and do nothing.
So not to prove any more future spending for states like Illinois above and beyond what they may already get. So no new COVID spending, no new emergency spending, no new bailouts.
If you look at the possibilities of changing the system, there's a way the inertia seems so high that if we have to get rid of the Department of Education, I don't think that will ever happen. And then I think the Democrats have nothing to worry about because Trump won't really do anything. But if actually for the system to continue, you need to get crazy new spending approved, and all that Trump has to do is not approve the new spending, that's where I think you're going to be able to force radical change in California, in New York, in Illinois, where these places have to reform themselves or go bankrupt.
So again, radical change forced by no new spending to these Democrat-controlled states, something Peter Thiel says could bring about that radical change. Shortly after the election, Governor J.B. Pritzker, this was November 7th, he was asked about federal grant dollars and what could happen with the incoming Trump administration.
But any political actions that the president takes, I think, will be work to his detriment politically, and I think that to the extent that they break the law, because politics in many cases can't be imposed upon things that are due to the various states. So I feel reasonably okay about our ability to withstand anything that the Trump administration brings to us, but I can't predict the future.
Can't predict the future, but January 20th coming right around the corner here. More from the governor on November 7th, talking about possible withholding of police grants for sanctuary cities like Chicago, which happened under the previous Trump administration, and that was litigated.
On the first question, to the extent that these things are nonpartisan grants that are decided by independent groups within the agencies, which happens for most grants, it would be illegal for the Trump administration to stop those grants from flowing, and so we would take action if we saw that happening. Trying to think about any other grant-related stuff. He claims
that he would survive. Trump says he'd survive a legal challenge.
I don't know what to say except that it would be illegal if he did it, and I presume that the courts would find it so. We certainly would take action and work with our Attorney General to do so.
So the governor saying that it would be illegal for Trump to withhold certain grants, so he didn't seem too worried about it. Also warning Trump it would not be politically conducive for the incoming president to do this. But he also said he's not worried about transportation dollars.
Again, sorry, just to be clear, the federal infrastructure dollars, again, are decided on an apolitical, non-political basis. That's how they're supposed to be decided. And indeed, we've, trust me, I've, contacted lots of people in the federal government that I know, elected officials or, appointed political officials, to make sure that they know what Illinois needs. And I can say, for certain that, the independence of those divisions of the agencies really are making the decisions, and we've been very fortunate because we are at the center of the supply chain for the nation, and so we've received a lot of support. Indeed, we're one of the largest recipients of transportation-related infrastructure dollars. So.
And the governor continued taking questions about a variety of other issues. So Pritzker not necessarily too worried about the loss of federal funds, saying that a lot of it's already owed to Illinois. But what about the loss of those COVID dollars? What about the idea of forcing reform through withholding federal tax dollars from states like Illinois? I asked Republican state representatives Adam Niemerg and Blaine Wilhauer if the Trump administration should withhold dollars from a state like Illinois.
Yes.
The Democrat politicians in this state have been punishing the citizens with the policies that's pushed us to that brink for a generation. So the president, by withholding anything, would not be punishing Illinois. All right, you don't fix a problem by propping up. What we do in Springfield constantly is we prop up unsustainable systems. Okay, and that's why we're in the situation that we're in. So something is going to have to be a catalyst for change, because ultimately we're in the business of doing what's best for the citizens, and maintaining the status quo is not it.
So we'll see how this battle continues to play out with federal dollars at stake and a state like Illinois possibly being impacted by that. Could it spur on change? Republicans have been saying for years we need lower taxes, fewer regulations. They also say that we need to end the state's sanctuary status for non-citizen migrants. How is this going to play out? We'll be watching it closely, not just in the short term. This is going to be a 2-year storyline, the conflict between Trump and states like Illinois. So we'll be there for it, all right? Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Wake up with us each and every weekday morning. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. Thanksgiving's Thursday. Black Friday is Friday. What about Small Business Saturday? Where are you going to spend your tax dollars? It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Happy holidays, and hopefully you're able to get away for Thanksgiving and enjoy some delicious food. And I hope that it's an abundant Thanksgiving for you and yours. But obviously after Thanksgiving, people are geared up and ready for the Christmas holiday. And, well, that means a lot of shopping. People are going to be hitting those big box stores Friday, Black Friday, all kinds of online deals. But what about small businesses? Those small mom and pop shops just down the street or on the city square. They actually keep more of your tax dollars in the local community. I connected with Noah Finley with the National Federation of Independent Business for Illinois, and he talked about the importance of making sure on Small Business Saturday you hit up a small business.
Well, thanks, Greg. Small Business Saturday is just to highlight the importance that small businesses play in our local community. So it's this next Saturday. I'd encourage you and your listeners to get out and shop at your local small businesses. Small businesses are integral to our communities across the state. We recently did a survey of our members, which they have like 10 employees. Some are smaller, some are larger, but they're very active in their communities. 76% indicate that they donate their time to get involved in civic organizations, sports teams, other things throughout their communities. And 90% indicate that they actually donate their money to their communities as well. So they are very much the backrock of our communities. They provide jobs, they provide services, goods, and it's important that we support them as well.
What's crucial, too, is Finley talking about how the local businesses keep their dollars local, not just in hiring people, but also in donating to certain causes and helping the community through their volunteerism and their donations.
Yeah, I mean, our small business owners, they know our communities, they know what they need, and they see opportunities there. And it's a high risk. Like, they are putting their money on the line, their time on the line, and even their reputation sometimes on the line by opening these small businesses. And so when you shop locally, most of that money actually stays in that local economy. It gets recycled, and it's good for everyone.
Small businesses obviously have a lot on their plate. They run the place themselves. They can't necessarily keep up with all the regulations that are coming down the pike. And that's something that Noah with NFIB, National Federation of Independent Business, a small business association, he says they're there on the ground in Springfield, in Washington, D.C., to really push for and advocate for small businesses.
Well, I think it's always a challenge. Larger businesses can achieve scale, and then they're also. I think, like I alluded to, like a small business owner, they're focused on running their business, making sure they stay in compliant as best they can with all the many rules and regulations out there. And so they don't have a government affairs team in Springfield. They don't have a government affairs team in DC. So NFIB provides representation for those small business owners in Springfield, in all 50 state capitals, and then also in DC, which is, we've got two very big things that are coming up there at the federal level, particularly if we don't extend the small business tax deduction, which is set to expire at the end of 2025. 9 out of 10 small businesses will see a massive tax increase at the end of next year. So we represent them. We make sure that their voice is heard as much as possible in these discussions in the Capitol.
So the importance of small businesses having the National Federation of Independent Business there to advocate on their behalf, Finley is highlighting. But of course, Small Business Saturday, small businesses are out there, but you got big box stores. It's hard to compete with them and also online retailers, but Finley says, hey, small businesses do it.
Well, I think it's always a challenge. Larger businesses can achieve scale. And then they're also, one of the things that we see way too often is that government regulations really hit hard against small businesses and really put them at a disadvantage because they don't have, say, the HR departments, the legal team, their whole government affairs to sort through it and make sure keep all the reports, all the paperwork requirements up to date. And so they are all too often put at disadvantage by an overly heavy regulation, like we often see here in Illinois and across the country.
So clearly, small businesses feel the brunt of those regulations. Something that Finley says is another reason why the NFIB exists. So get out there. Small Business Saturday coming up. All right, support your small businesses. Keep those dollars as close to the community as possible. And we'll obviously be talking a lot more Noah Finley in the future, especially with the start of a new General Assembly. But before that, we got to get through a lame duck session. So what's at stake? Well, we'll keep an eye on it all. It's Illinois in Focus Daily, right here with America's Talking Network. All right, that's all I got for you guys on this Tuesday before Thanksgiving. Again, programming notes, I am taking Wednesday off. I am taking Thursday off. I am taking Friday off. We'll be back with you on Monday. And there's going to be a lot for us to talk about, especially with election results going to be finalized from the Illinois State Board of Elections. What does it ultimately say down ballot? So we'll get to those issues. Also, we'll start previewing the lame duck session and what could come up there, plus a whole bunch of other things. We got Madigan content I'm sure is going to be coming out of the trial there because they're going to be in court today, tomorrow, and then back on Monday. So a lot to tackle here. Wake up with us, America's Talking Network here on YouTube. Join the live chat. And also be sure to get the podcast where you get podcasts. Just search Illinois in Focus. And get the headlines to your inbox each and every weekday morning. Sign up for the newsletter at thecentersquare.com. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, guys. We'll see you back here on Monday.
Thank you.